Okay, name one thing that President Trump has ever said that could be construed as racist. Hi, it is Tim, once again, a handsome liberal. As a individual that debates politics online, even in my small corner of social media, I hear that question quite a bit. For obvious reasons, Trump was a very controversial figure, and there's no shortage of individuals throwing around the idea that Trump is a racist. Before we tackle that question of naming anything or if there is anything that Trump has ever said to make someone view him as racist, I'm going to make you two promises here on this video tonight. The first promise is, this is not a video to bash Trump in any way or any form. So we're not going to, that's just not what we're here for. I don't do that on my program, and I will not be doing that here. So we're not here to bash Trump. The second promise I'll make to you is, there will be no information cited from questionable sources. And when I say questionable sources, you're talking to an individual that debates primarily with conservatives, Republicans, and of course, MAGA. I understand that there is often a legitimate claim that the media, particularly the mainstream media, does not treat conservatives fairly. So as a result, we're certainly not going to be providing any information in this video that's coming from any source that conservatives, Republicans, or certainly MAGA would consider questionable. Now, what I'm going to do here is present to you my information, and then, of course, at the end of the video, if you want to drop a comment, as always, I do respond to any and all comments. As the sign says, this is a no snowflake zone, so there is no comment in regards to this video that is going to be too difficult or any type of limitations in responding to it. So without further ado, I'm going to present my first video, and this is a video of Trump being interviewed by former Fox News commentator Bill O'Reilly. Now, once again, the information I'm presenting in these videos to help us come to a conclusion, for the most part, are going to be direct quotes from Trump. Trump will be on screen so you can see him. So these are literally words coming out of his mouth. We're not citing any sources here, folks. It is simply words coming out of his mouth, and then we can analyze them later on in the comments. Like I said, I welcome all of your comments. Hopefully, as many MAGA as there are can respond to this, and I promise to respond to all of them. So we'll go ahead and start with the first video. This is a couple minutes long, and it is President Trump talking to Bill O'Reilly in regards to a tweet he sent out suggesting that the overwhelming majority of white homicide victims were killed by blacks. I believe in the video, he's stating that 81% of white victims of homicide were killed by blacks. So essentially, if you're white and you ever become a victim of a homicide, chances are the killer was black. So here we go.
That the liberal media and the Democratic Party in general trying to paint you as a racist. Are you aware of that?
I think so, but I think people know better than that. I'm
right.
Probably the least racist person on earth.
Well, I've known you a long time, and I never saw any racism from you. However, when you tweet out a thing, and this bothered me, I got to tell you, you tweeted out that whites killed by blacks, these were statistics you picked up from somewhere, at a rate of 81%. And that's totally wrong. Whites killed by blacks is 15%. Yet you tweeted it was 81%. Now,
Bill, I didn't tweet. I retweeted somebody that was supposedly an expert,
but you don't
and it was also a radio show.
Why do you want to be in that zone?
Hey, Bill, am I going to check every statistic? I get millions and millions of people.
You got it. You're a presidential contender. You got to check
millions of people. You know what? Fine. But this came out of radio shows and everything else.
Oh, come on,
all
radio
it was is
shows?
A retweet. I didn't say. Excuse me. All it was is a retweet. It wasn't from me, and it did. It came out of a radio show and other places because you see all the names.
Look, you know I'm looking out for you, right? You know that? Yeah, I'm looking out for you. I look out for every honest politician. I don't care what party they're in. Don't do this. Don't put your name on stuff like this because it makes the other side, it gives them stuff to tell the ill-informed voter that you're a racist. I mean, you just handed them the platter.
This was a retweet. Bill, I'm sure you're looking out for me. Everybody is, right?
Yeah.
This was a retweet. This was a retweet.
All right, whatever it is.
And it
I
came
told
from
you
sources
shouldn't
that
tweet
are
ever.
very credible.
You shouldn't
What
be
can I tell you?
tweeting. Don't tweet. Give it up for Lent. Lent is coming soon.
Okay,
Give
good.
it up. All right, final question.
You know what? I like it. Can I tell you what? I like it because I can get also my point of view out there, and my point of view is very important to a lot of people that are looking at me. And as far as what they've done in terms of me, you just had a poll. Wait a minute. You just had a poll, and going even against Hillary, I win easily.
Okay, now that's the first video. We're gonna present a second video, and we'll analyze that one as well. But here's my analytics on this one. And once again, I welcome your comments, and like I said, I respond to any and all comments. As you can see in the video starts out with even Bill O'Reilly admitting that he had a problem with the former president sending this out. Now, this video was sent out when Trump was still a presidential contender, but he was at that point a serious contender, and he was well on his way to taking the Republican ticket. So Bill O'Reilly makes it clear that he had a problem with it. But here's where I would lean into this video and suggest that I have a real problem with. Okay, we're going to bring back up. Here's a picture of the statistics that Trump tweeted out. Now, if you notice in the picture, you see a black male standing there, and I mean, he just looks like America's nightmare. I mean, he's obviously wearing a bandana, his face is covered up, he's holding a firearm. I mean, everything about the picture makes you wonder what is on the mind of the artist. Because there's obviously other ways to commit a homicide, first of all, other than just, this looks like a straight gangbanger. And that came from a presidential contender. So that's something that I just have no clue why Trump tweeted out. The second thing that I would bring up, now remember at the beginning of this video, I made it clear I would not present to you any information from any questionable source. Look at the source at the bottom of this email. If you notice at the bottom, it says something like San Francisco crime statistics or something to that nature. That source that they cited does not exist. That is not a real source. So President Trump tweeted out something that not only is it incorrect, it also gives a source that does not exist. So we would have to ask, not only why would the president tweet this out to begin with, but why didn't he fact check? Now, Trump is known for pointing out fake news, absolutely known for that. So the idea that the president himself would tweet out something that is this bad, this haphazardly put together, it leaves you no other place but to question, where the hell did you get this from? Now, in addition to the picture just looking heinous of the black male and the source down at the bottom, the numbers are absolutely false. 81% of white homicide victims are not killed by blacks. The moment Trump did this and it became a controversial issue, the FBI, who was still at the time under the end of President Obama's term, the FBI immediately corrected it and stated, I believe it was 14 or 15%. You hear Bill O'Reilly bring that up in the video. The number of white homicide victims that are killed by blacks is around 15%. In other words, you kill what you are around. If you're a black person, chances are you're killing other blacks. Chicago, Memphis, St. Louis are perfect examples. The black-on-black crime rate is horrendous. But they're not killing white people that live in those cities at anywhere near the same rate. And this is because for the simple reason is that most killers and the victims actually have some type of link to each other, you know, whether it's a bad drug deal or it's a family member or just an enemy, but they tend to know each other to some degree. So the 81% number is wrong. The source does not even exist, and the picture itself just looks horrendous. Now, we can argue back and forth whether Trump is racist or not. Like I stated here, this is not a video to bash Trump. Nobody knows what's in a man's heart, so we're not here to do that. But when you look at what's presented here, let me just make this point clear to you. If I was white and I believe President Trump's numbers that he tweeted out, this whole piece of information, if I was white, did not have any black friends or family members or associates, and the president told me that if I was ever going to be a victim of a homicide, chances are it's going to be a black person doing it, because most of us getting killed are being killed by black people. It would certainly make me a bit hesitant anytime I saw a black person walking down the street approaching me, or if I'm open carrying or concealed carrying, I would probably put my hand on my gun. That's just the way I'm going to view this. But I'll leave it up to the audience to determine whether you think this is racial or not. Regardless of how you view this, the biggest question that I would present is, what was the purpose of tweeting this out to begin with? How would this help any, whether white or black? How would anyone be helped by this? So, once again, when this is just done to answer the question, what has Trump ever tweeted out that's racist? Obviously, this is hugely negative towards the black community because it paints us as murderers of white people wholesale. There's just no other way to refer to this. So I had to bring that up. And once again, like I said, if you got a comment on what you think about this, maybe you think I'm coming out of left field or I sound ridiculous, feel free to drop that in the comments. This is a no snowflake zone. There's nothing I'm not going to tackle in the comments on this. But this is in regards to anyone who asks, why would anyone ever consider anything Trump said as racist? I'm just going to put this one out there. Simply put, his comment makes black people look bad. He didn't source it. And if you noticed in the video with Bill O'Reilly's asking him, like, why would you do this? And I just got it off of some site. And he asked, well, why didn't you check it? Well, and he doesn't even seem to think that as a Republican contender for president, that his job is to fact check what he tweets out. I mean, Bill O'Reilly made it clear to him, like, you're giving people red meat. You're serving yourself up as a racist on a platter to people who may misjudge you. So, I don't know. We'll tackle that in the comments, but I just wanted to present that to you. Okay, here's a second piece of information. This one is probably a lot more familiar to you. And the reason I say that is because, as I stated earlier in the video, media has an agenda. There's left-wing media, there's right-wing media. There really is not a lot of centralized media. And because I speak to, in my little corner of social media, predominantly a right-wing audience, most of my audience watches right-wing media. What I just showed you was not covered very heavily on Fox. In fact, I had to dig pretty deep to find that Bill O'Reilly video. It wasn't covered very heavily on Fox. It was covered heavy on the liberal networks. And if you're right wing, you probably didn't see those. The next one I'm posting, most likely you did see. This is Trump calling for a total and complete ban on Muslims entering the country.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Okay, so in this case, it's simply Trump calling for a total and complete ban on Muslims entering America until we figure out what's going on. Now, in defense of President Trump, when you're talking terrorism, I can understand what he's suggesting because we have had a significant history with terrorists coming from the Middle East and committing acts of atrocities. However, we also have a lot of allies in the Middle East. So if what Trump was suggesting had been allowed to be implemented, which I believe it was shot down by the Supreme Court once he became president, the Muslim man, the Supreme Court prevented him from doing it. You got to factor in folks like Jordanians, folks from Kuwait, I believe Turkey to some degree is an ally. There are a lot of Muslim countries that are actually allied with the United States. So if he was allowed to implement a total and complete ban on all Muslims entering America, which is what he suggested, there would be folks from India. I mean, there is just simply put, his actions would harm a lot of innocent people, which is kind of what racism does. But in this case, in defense of Trump, in this case, he's being discriminatory towards a religion. So you can't really chalk it up as a racist comment. It would be more of, an anti-religious comment. But when you look at our Constitution and the amendment that protects that, all of that's rolled up in that. When you look at the Civil Rights Act and all of that, whether it's your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, religion, all of that's rolled up in the same amendment. But I just want to present these two items to you because I am asked over and over again this same question. What did Trump ever say that would lead someone to suggest that the guy is racist? So I created this video so that I can now refer my listeners or my viewers to this video so that I don't have to keep saying it over and over again. And in this case, you can clearly see the words coming out of his mouth, and I'm not citing all kinds of crazy sources, and it leaves a more clear picture on why someone would come to this assertion or come to this conclusion. Now, once again, I made it clear, just like in the beginning of the video, this is not an attempt to bash Trump, because there are certain counterpoints that could be made against President Biden. The "you ain't black" comment, the war on drugs, separating families with the 3-strike laws and things like that Biden was knee deep into. Biden has comments being against the LGBT community. This is not a video to defend Biden in any way, fashion, or form. Biden himself has apologized for his racist past, and he's apologized profusely. So no one's here to say, well, Trump is this, so we got to get Biden, because he's not. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to answer and tackle the question, what has Trump ever said that would make someone believe he's racist? Once again, it is Tim, the handsome liberal. Certainly feel free to comment on this video any way you like. This is a no snowflake zone, as the sign says. And as always, I will see you Saturday night, or better yet, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time on both TikTok and YouTube, The Handsome Liberal. Catch you later, folks.